What's up, guys? This is Robbie's World of Movies, the show where I like to go over all the latest news in the world of movies, plus give you some insight to what it means, and I like to appreciate films from the past. So you may notice that this is an audio-only show, and the reason why it's an audio-only show is because I am trying to promote the fact that I am going to be posting my podcast onto SoundCloud now. So if you're ever in the car, you can listen to it, just hit play, and then lock your phone and go. It saves battery and saves data just listening it to SoundCloud. So basically, I have a few questions that was asked by some of the people that watch the show, and I'm going to answer them on today's show. So how do you get a question to me? It's very simple. Just leave in the comments section or message me or IM me a question. It can be anything. Keep in mind, there are no dumb questions when it comes to the world of movies. It is a very complicated world, so I want to help you get through it, and I want to help you learn like the best way to know movies. All right, with that being said, let's go to the first question. The first question comes from Bob, aka my dad, and he asks, is there any way that the Star Wars franchise will somehow try to bring back Han Solo now that Carrie Fisher has died in real life? And Luke is one of the only ones left from the original cast. And would Star Wars fans reject the idea of bringing him back? That's a good question. Yeah, Carrie Fisher passed away in, I think, December, and that definitely shocked me a lot. And, well, here's the thing. Looking on it now, out of the original trilogy, Luke, Han, and Leia, we only have one person who's going to be in Episode 9. Think about it, because Han Solo, or Harrison Ford, he was killed off in The Force Awakens. And Carrie Fisher, Princess Leia, passed away in December. So all we have is Mark Hamill, a.k.a. Luke Skywalker, and that's the only one. Now, I feel like if the studio knew that for some reason or another Carrie Fisher was not going to be around for Star Wars Episode 9, I feel like they maybe would not have killed off Harrison Ford as Han Solo. And when it comes to bringing him back, I don't think they're going to bring him back. I mean, obviously they have so many story devices they can use to bring him back, but like, I don't really see a way that they can bring him back that makes sense to the fans. So, like, I mean, maybe they could bring him back in a flashback of like him and Luke talking, and I mean that'd be cool, like a flashback. But there's not many flashbacks in the Star Wars series, unless you include Rogue One. There was a flashback there, but I don't really see them bringing him back. He's definitely not going to be in The Last Jedi because he's not casted in The Last Jedi. I'm talking about Harrison Ford. And I just don't see a way that they can really bring him back. So I think we're going to be finishing off the series with just Luke. That's unless Princess Leia gets recasted, which I think might be it's really tricky. Because it's not like Harry Potter when the original Dumbledore passed away and they had to recast Dumbledore. This is a lot different because Carrie Fisher, we've known her as Princess Leia for 40 plus years. That's going to be 40 years, this year since the Last Jedi's coming out and the New Hope came out in 1977. So yeah, it's been about 40 years since she's been Princess Leia. And honestly, I don't see how they can bring back Harrison Ford without really messing up the story. And like I said, I can see him coming back in a flashback, but that's about it. So I mean, let me know what you guys think about it. Do you think they should bring back Harrison Ford? Personally, I think if they're going to bring him back, they should bring him back as like a flashback. And when it comes to Carrie Fisher and Princess Leia, do you think if she doesn't get killed off or written off in Star Wars 8 or The Last Jedi, do you think they're going to recast her? These are really good questions, and I mean, we're not going to really know what Princess Leia's fate is until The Last Jedi comes out in December. All right, on to the next question. It comes from my cousin Michael, who writes, will the Soul Infinity Stone be revealed in Thor Ragnarok? That is a great question. Most people are wondering, or like most comic book fans are wondering, where's the Soul Stone? Because all the stones have been like discovered already, like in when it comes to the Avengers movies. Let me check real quick which ones have been discovered. When it comes to the Infinity Stones, you have the Space Stone, the Space Stone, the Tesseract, which is it's been in Thor. It was introduced at the post-credit scene of Thor. It was shown in Captain America, and it was in the Avengers. So, and where is it currently? It is with Heimdall in Asgard. And then you have the Mind Stone, which is currently with Vision, and It's called it's the scepter, Loki's scepter. That's what the Mind Stone is. That was in Avengers, The Winter Soldier, Age of Ultron, and Civil War. Um, then you have the Reality Stone, which was in Thor: The Dark World. It's called the Arthur, and it's it's in the I think it's in the collector's, where the collector he currently is in charge of it. And then you have the Power Stone, which is also known as the Orb, which is with the Guardians of the Galaxy, and it's currently kept with the Nova Corps. So that's where the Power Stone is. So there you have 4 out of 6. And then the newest one that they revealed about a year ago was the Time Stone, the Eye of Agamotto. I can't pronounce that, but that was last seen in Doctor Strange, and it's left on Earth. So those are the only Infinity Stones that have been revealed. We're still waiting on the Soul Stone, and personally, I think that the Soul Stone is not going to be revealed until Avengers: Infinity War. Because just based off all the reviews on Thor Ragnarok and just the story of Thor Ragnarok, I don't think that they're going to release it in Thor Ragnarok, and I don't really see it coming in Black Panther. I feel like if they're going to release it in any film, they're going to reveal it as the final piece in Avengers: Infinity War. I mean, I could be wrong. It could come out in Thor Ragnarok. I think it's very unlikely. Or Black Panther. Black Panther is actually a wild card for where I think it would come out, because think about it. It's just like when it comes to Black Panther, we haven't seen that much. I mean, we've seen a couple trailers and some pictures, but I don't know if the Soul Stone will be revealed then. So if I had to put money on it, I would say that the Soul Stone doesn't get revealed until Avengers: Infinity War in May of 2018. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think that the Soul Stone is probably going to get revealed sooner rather than later, or do you think it's just going to be Avengers: Infinity War is when the Soul Stone is going to be revealed? All right, on to the next question. And the next question comes from one of my old buddies, Ryan Mazzola, and he writes, compare the Hulk movies. Oh my goodness. I went over a little spiel on this about the Hulk films. Personally, I really don't like the Hulk films as much as I like the other superhero films. You have the 70s and 80s Hulk with Lou Ferrigno, and I mean, those are pretty good for the time, because it's like people were, I mean, like with what the special effects that they had, I mean, they kind of had to paint a guy in green, so I thought that was pretty cool. Then you have that god-awful piece of trash that came out in 2003, the Hulk with, what's his name? Eric Bana. That was truly just awful. Special effects were awful. Dialogue was awful. And, I don't even know what they were trying to go for with that movie. And then the only other Hulk movie we really have is The Incredible Hulk with Edward Norton that came out in 2008. That film is connected to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It may have a different actor playing the Hulk, but it's still connected to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, if that makes sense. Like, Mark Ruffalo got recasted as him because I think apparently there was some contract dispute. So he got recasted as the Hulk, but that Hulk that's in Thor Ragnarok and in the Avengers films, that's the same Hulk that's in The Incredible Hulk. And it was kind of cool. If you watch Civil War, General Ross was actually in Civil War. It was kind of nice because we hadn't seen him since The Incredible Hulk, and then he popped up in Civil War, which is probably one of the greatest Marvel films of all time. I'd say probably right underneath the Avengers. But yeah, I mean, I don't really have much to say on the Hulk films because, like I said, Hulk's a superhero that he can't really stand on his own. I mean, he's important and vital when it comes to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but he can't stand on his own. And that's something that I feel like needs to be taken into consideration. And when they're talking about plans of a Hulk trilogy coming out, and I honestly don't think that that's a good idea at all because, like I said, I mean, Hulk, he just doesn't have the legs to stand on his own franchise. So, yeah, that's kind of my comparison to the Hulk movies. Next question comes from Andrew, and Andrew writes, I would love to know how Batman survived the explosion in the third movie of the Christian Bale trilogy. It's pretty easy how he survived the explosion. There's a scene right before the movie ends where Lucius Fox, a.k.a. Morgan Freeman, he's talking to these two people that are inspecting the bat, that flying, the thing that Batman flew the bomb into the ocean with. they're kind of like inspecting that, and he's asking, well, I need to know what I could have done to fix it. And then they say, oh, it's already been fixed. And he's talking about the autopilot. Because remember how they mentioned that there's no autopilot? Well, at the very end of it, they mention that the autopilot has been fixed. So I mean, it's a little unlikely that like he got out in the nick of time, but like I feel like that, well, it's obvious what happened was he got out in the nick of time, and then he was able to see Alfred in the cafe in France or wherever it was. So that's how he ended up surviving the explosion, because there was an autopilot that was involved. So he ejected himself at like the very last second, and that's how he survived. And personally, I mean, I thought that was a pretty smart plot tool to use. I mean, they can't kill off Bruce Wayne / Batman. I mean, that'd be nuts. So that's how he ended up surviving. Personally, I think that The Dark Knight Rises is the weakest film in the franchise of the Christopher Nolan series. Not the worst. I'm not calling it a bad film. I'm just saying that it was the weakest compared to the level of The Dark Knight, which I consider the best film of all time, and Batman Begins. I honestly think that The Dark Knight Rises was definitely a step down. All right, on to the next question, which comes from my friend Mason Odell, and he writes, at the end of the Justice League trailer, who do you legitimately think Alfred was talking to? For those of you who don't know, I'm not talking about he's not talking about the Justice League trailer that just dropped. He's talking about the Justice League trailer that dropped during Comic-Con this summer. And who do I think Alfred is talking to? Well, most people would just say, oh, he's obviously talking to Superman. I am one of those 10%, 10%ers. I don't even think we're 10%ers anymore. I think I'm one of probably the 1% that thinks that he's not talking to Superman. So I think that I have two answers for this. One, I think he could possibly be talking to Green Lantern. Now, would I bet money on it? I don't think so. But I think he could possibly be talking to Green Lantern. The other is Deathstroke. I mean, because like, where was that? Because there was footage of Deathstroke shown. I forgot what his name was, but Ben Affleck posted footage of the new Deathstroke, and I want to know, like, is that in the Justice League? I mean, where were they filming? What were they filming that for? So I think it could possibly be Deathstroke or Green Lantern, but we won't know until the movie comes out. But hey, let me know what you guys think, or who do you guys think that person was that Alfred was talking to. Now on to the final question. Question from Garrett Betty. And Garrett Betty, I love you, betters. He writes, who is the ultimate crossover superhero supervillain, regardless of Marvel or DC? Ooh, buddy. This is a tough one. Personally, if I wanted to see two villains, I just want to see them have a conversation. I don't want to see them fight. I just want to see them have a conversation. And I'm choosing comic book films. I'm going from comic books, not Marvel or DC. So I feel like this is kind of breaking the rules a little bit. But when it comes to two villains, I want to see the Joker and Negan from The Walking Dead talk. The Joker and Negan. I feel like that conversation would be so messed up and just so evil and just so amazing at the same time. Because any actor who plays the Joker is going to be one of the best actors out there. I mean, you think about it, like Jack Nicholson, great actor. I think he's won a few Oscars, and he's great. Heath Ledger won an Oscar for playing the Joker. Amazing actor. And then you have Jared Leto, and he's already has an Oscar on his mantle. And they're talking about, for the new Joker standalone story, because it's not going to take place in the same universe as like Batman versus Superman and Justice League. They're talking about having Leonardo DiCaprio as that Joker, or that's who Warner Brothers wants to play the Joker at least. And my goodness, I would love to see that. But back to your question, I would like to see the Joker and Negan talk. That would just be like an amazing conversation that I feel like should be done in the comic books. Because the DC extended universe, like, they can play a lot with that. Like, my brother, he has comics of Batman meets Ninja Turtles, Justice League meets Power Rangers, Batman meets Scooby-Doo. And, like, they do those type of comic books. I mean, I think it'd be awesome to see, like, Batman or Gotham and The Walking Dead. That would be so cool. And I'd love to see the Joker and Negan have a little conversation. If they got into a fight, I obviously think the Joker would win. But just the way Negan talks and the way he presents himself, oh my goodness, I would die if I freaking saw the Joker and Negan talk to each other. When it comes to two superheroes, it's Batman and Superman. So, and I know it's kind of like, most people are like, oh, why? Honestly, I was looking forward to Batman and Superman on the big screen together. I had been looking forward to that since I was a little kid. And yeah, given it was a very disappointing movie, there were redeeming qualities of it, but it was a very disappointing movie in Batman vs. Superman. But it was still really cool to see The Dark Knight and The Man of Steel on the big screen, live action together and not animated. So yeah, so for superheroes, it would be Batman and Superman, and for supervillains, it would be Joker and Negan. Now, when it comes to who's a hero I want to see go against a villain, it's probably going to be Batman and Negan. I know that sounds really weird, but my goodness, you have just two dark people that are just going to go head to head, and you got Negan has Lucille, and I think Batman would obviously win the fight, but I would love to see Negan and Batman go together. I'm going off comic book films, obviously. Another one that I would like to see is Deadpool on the big screen. This has already been done in the comic books multiple times. I want to see Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool, and Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. I want to see them on the big screen together. I mean, yeah, you had them together in what was it called? X-Men Origins, X-Men Origins Wolverine. God awful film, and there wasn't even really a Deadpool. I mean, Ryan Reynolds was more Wade Wilson in that than he was Deadpool. But I would like to see the Deadpool that we just saw in the new movie Deadpool that came out about a year ago. I want to see that Deadpool with Logan, like Hugh Jackman as Logan. I want to see that because you have just one who's a merc with a mouth and he's just so funny, and then you have one that's just completely serious. I want to see them fight. That would be amazing. And Hugh Jackman, he has talked about coming back as Wolverine, but I think he said he'd only come back as Wolverine if the Avengers crossed over with the X-Men. So I don't think that's going to be happening. But honestly, if somebody could talk Hugh Jackman into coming back as Wolverine just one more time, just to face off against Deadpool or team up with Deadpool, like I think it should be like a Batman versus Superman type thing where they fight each other first and then they team up. I would lose my freaking mind. And it has to be Old Man Logan, because I feel like Old Man Logan and Deadpool, that'd just be awesome. I mean, two of my favorite comic book films of all time going at each other, and I still think Logan's the best film of the year. But honestly, to see those two going against each other or teaming up, that would just be amazing. Well, that'll do it for today, guys. Thank you so much for joining Robbie's World of Movies. Hey, make sure to hit that like button if you're watching this on Facebook or YouTube. And also, if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to hit subscribe. And if you're watching or hearing this on SoundCloud, make sure to follow my page for new podcasts. This episode was called Question Time, and it's a little bit different from the rest of my shows. I only like to take the questions from you guys. So again, if you want to get a question on the show, all you have to do is just leave in the comments or personally message me a question for the podcast, and I'll try to get it onto the show. I didn't have that many entered, so if you entered a question, odds are I got it on here. I didn't have that many asked, but I want to get more asked, and I want to see what you guys are thinking about and what goes through your head when it comes to the world of movies. Thanks again, guys. Until next time, bye.